business too. A lot of people have their businesses here too, so we can learn from each other. And I know maybe some people will go to school, some people won't, but that's everybody's choice and decision. But I do want to share, the process of, how I got here. And I put my timer on purpose so you can see that I'm trying to be concise and not take really, really long because I know you're hungry. But back in 2017, I was still kind of trying to figure out what to do. I was singing, I was, doing my music, but I just was substitute teaching, and that's a great job to have, in the meantime for certain things, but not really real long term. And so I was kind of spinning my wheels, kind of hit a rut, didn't know, what I should do, and I didn't have a whole lot of money saved to be able to go back to school, and I was kind of hesitant to get a loan. So I was praying, and I came across, certain videos on YouTube, different people that were inspiring to me. And one thing that I heard that initially really helped me to start kind of like taking stock of my life and looking at myself, learning more about myself, was learning about my personality and learning how, what parts of me were holding me back from maybe achieving my goals. And so I realized that I was kind of in the middle of there's big five traits, and I would like to everyone take it before the night is over, just because I feel like it's really, really beneficial for you to understand yourself. But I realized that I was kind of hardworking, but I would put things off, more into I'm more of an extroverted person. But as far as having clear goals and knowing what I wanted to do, I was kind of vague on that area. And I just heard different people speaking, and sometimes, as a teacher right now, there's a big push to get students to change the world and to go and solve world problems. And but what I started to realize through these different people that I was learning from was you can't really change the world if you don't first start. You have to start small first. So first, clean your room, make up your bed, do simple things, get organized, and those things are all practice for the bigger things in life. Instead of trying to solve the Middle East conflict, why don't we try to solve conflicts within our family, our brothers and sisters, our cousins, our mothers and fathers, and those are all practices for the bigger problems. Because people we love to do big things because we don't really get a pushback, but when we try to resolve problems in our families, we're going to get a pushback right away sometimes, and maybe we're not like the things that the responses, and then maybe things can't happen as fast as we want them to come along. But I realized that was me. I'm involved with a lot of things like Israel and other stuff like that, and different problems and different situations and conflicts that I want to be a part of, that I want to be the solution to. But I realized, I'm going to take a step back and start working on myself. So my parents know, about 2017. Also, I decided that I needed to confront issues that I realized that I was ignoring and not facing. Very difficult situations, things that happen to you in life that you just kind of put off to the side because they're too hard to confront. And so I prayed. I said, well, God, you're going to help me to confront the things that are in front of me, to get organized, and to start doing the small things around me and my family before I start trying to do the other big things. And so that's how it's happened. And I started trying to keep my room clean consistently. Even as an adult, it was hard for me to keep my apartment clean. And my parents know that. They even came to visit me a couple times when that started happening. They were shocked, several times in a row that my apartment was so clean and nice. And they're like, what was happening to Jonathan? But I realized that I wanted to start building my life, and organizing my life. And of course, with God's help, I was able to slowly do that. And then confronting things, I can't get into that, but it was very, very difficult for that whole year to just confront situations and people that, I had not been able to do that because I was afraid. But thank God I was able to get through that. And then I started working. I realized I'd been wasting time. And I started working after school till 9 o'clock at night, giving music lessons, saving money. And 2 years later, I was able to save enough money to go back to school without getting a loan.
Amen.
Thank you. And it all started because I just started making my bed and cleaning my room. So that one little thing started snowballing to bigger things. And so I went back to school, and I won't say really what happened. The first school I wanted to go to, but the second school I decided to come to Point Loma Nazarene University, and and I just started working at it. And the first 6 months, I almost gave up because it was so much work, and I wasn't used to studying and sitting down and doing my work. And but by that point, I had kind of built up more of a mentality of like, no, I'm going to start something, I'm going to finish it. So I was working and just giving my best, and I told my professor, your class is really hard. He says, no, it's not, Jonathan, it's just you're doing above and beyond what I asked you. So that you're making it harder for yourself. But I thought to myself, well, I'd rather have people think that I'm doing above and beyond the work than just doing the minimum. And after all, I'm seeing thousands of dollars coming out of my checking account every month, that I want to get my money's worth and work really hard and accomplish actually learn what I came here to learn. So I'm going along, and I'm working part-time at that point. I'm teaching, and I thank God for all the schools that gave me a job, despite the fact I didn't have a credential. But they saw something in me, and even though maybe my parents didn't have a degree, but they are natural teachers, and a lot of our members of our family are natural teachers and speakers. So, I had that ability to be able to get a job despite the fact I didn't have a credential. So I'm really grateful for those people that gave me that opportunity and experience. So at that point, I was working, coming along, and I started my Masters Thesis, which was about what I'm talking to you about helping students become organized, and if that can make them more successful and also feel more confident and happy in social and emotional health. And so I was doing a lot of research, learning further about the personality traits and how, when you understand who you are and like how your brain is wired, then you're not thinking, oh, I'm so dumb. Like I told my students, you're not dumb because you didn't do well on online school. It just means that your brain is wired in a certain way that you're easily distracted, and maybe if you're high in neuroticism, you're going to be stressed out and anxious very easily. So you don't think you're dumb. There's millions of people that have that same temperament, but there's ways that you can help yourself to be able to push through. But if you don't know that about yourself, you just think, oh, I'm so dumb, why did I give up so easily? When you really don't understand yourself. So that's why I'm an advocate to understand yourself. So I was coming along, doing great. I had some wonderful professors, but then I got to hit this class where I had to take and it was called like something like multiculturalism, a diversity class. And so I started taking that class, and I was, working hard, and, I knew that I had earned my way to get there. I had saved money. I had to work day and night, and then I started reading this material that was telling me that I'm an oppressed person because I'm Mexican, that I can't do anything, that everything's against me. Everywhere I turn, there's someone trying to get me down, and and there's no such thing. And I'm not even joking. It says this theory of working hard and putting yourself up by your bootstraps is a lie. It doesn't exist. That's not true. And when I'm reading these things, I have to discuss them and talk about them and write about them. And just reading these words over and over about how if you were poor, that everybody's against you, and it's really, you gotta just basically tear the whole world down and start all over again to I don't know what, because there's really, to this day, I don't know what is. But these words were coming into my spirit, and all of a sudden, and I'm sure these people mean well. Maybe they really do think that they're helping people like me and like you, they're Hispanics, that are trying to better ourselves. But yet, instead of helping me, it was hurting me. Instead of encouraging me, it was depressing me. Telling me that I was oppressed was actually oppressing me. And it was kind of like a contradiction. Like, here's this person's telling me, like, I'm sure they're trying to help me, and yet I'm doing all of a sudden in my mind, like, I couldn't do my thesis anymore. All I could think about was these thoughts that I was letting into my mind. And I took it for a month, and I'm working at it, and I'm still trying. I'm in a conflict at that point. Like, I'm trying to finish my goal here. I'm trying to finish my research, and yet at the same time, this thing is telling me that I can't do it, that everything's against me. Everything I'm writing about in my thesis is about helping students become organized, and then getting their life in order, and stop stressing them out about trying to solve, pollution in the ocean when they can't even keep the pollution in the room, in order. So I was like, forget about the pollution in the ocean. Just clean up at lunch. Instead of throwing your wrapper on the ground, throw it in the trash can, because that's gonna expand to bigger things when you get older. And so the whole month, I'm thinking, what should I do in this class? Because this class is really, really starting to bother me. It's getting into my head that I can't do this. So finally, I went to go talk to one of my advisors and also to one of the people in the school, the administrators. And I told them, I don't know what to do, because I know this book is, it's part of the, to get my master's degree, to get my credential, and yet this is actually hindering me from completing my goal. And so we started talking about the things it was saying, that, if you're Hispanic, if you're Black, if you're anything but white. I'm sorry for the white people that are here. Okay, but I don't believe that, by the way. I think that your content of your character is more important than the color of your skin, like Martin Luther King said. But at that point, this is telling me all these things, and all those white people are against me. And I said, well, everybody in the school pretty much is white. The admin, go to the school system, most people are teaching are white. And so am I supposed to be like, well, what's the point of studying if all these people are secretly against me? And I said, but I know for a fact that this is not true to tell me that I can't work hard and meet my goals. That's not true, because I'm here because I actually did work hard and I saved money, and I'm here studying and I'm almost done, and this is almost making me want to quit everything that I'm doing. So she told me, Jonathan, I respect you. I think you know yourself well, and if you feel that this is really hindering you from finishing your goal, then if you feel like dropping the class, drop the class, even though you're going to lose out on $1,000 because you already paid for those classes you took. But if you don't withdraw soon, you're going to get an F because it'll go past the withdrawal date. So after talking to a couple of people there, I decided that I was going to drop the class. And so it took, but even then, after I dropped the class, it still took a while for those words to get out of my system and to stop oppressing my mind that everything's against you, everything's against you, everything's against you. You should be angry, resentful, and just talk about all the bad things that ever happened to you in your life, and just think about all the bad things. I said, no, I can't do that. That's going to hurt me. It's not going to help me. And so, and I know that my nephews, if you decide to go study something, or even in general society, this is everywhere now, that you're going to most likely come across this teaching. And again, like I said, I think people may mean well, but they don't really understand. And the funny thing about it is, it's a lot about diversity, and yet here I am giving my voice as a minority, my diverse thought from an actual minority, and saying that this is not helpful. And I certainly hope people understand, and I think we should all speak up and let people know that from our own mouths, like what it really causes people to feel. And so what I want to do in the next 5 minutes before we eat our food is just share with you what helped me to overcome this critical race theory, which is what it is. It's called critical race theory and anti-racism. And this came at me so hard, but the thing that got me through it was, number one, understanding my own self and how my brain is wired, and acknowledging my strengths and acknowledging my weaknesses too, and understanding, okay, there's some things that I can change in here that are going to help me move forward. And second of all, which is really the most important thing, was my faith. And these days, unfortunately, there's a lot of talk about diversity and multiculturalism, yet for some reason we talk about ethnic food, ethnic clothing, ethnic music, all our skin colors and all that kind of thing. But they're trying to separate, what I noticed, people are trying to separate our faith from our culture. Like, celebrate everything about your culture except your faith. And in this case, it's we're Americans, but our roots are in Mexico, and our heritage is comes from Catholicism and Protestantism. And the reality is, if you go to any small town in Mexico, the center of the town is going to be a church. And it's not just a church, it's not just a building, it's a place. There's no other place in the community where you can go to celebrate life, the giving of life from birth. You go to celebrate with people that make up that church. You go also to celebrate milestones in your life, quinceañeras, sweet 16s, birthdays, also, it's not just a building, it's a community of faith that you come together to celebrate those things that are very important in life. And then also marriages, people coming together to get married, it's another celebration, another community. And also finally your deaths in the family, where you can go to your church and feel that support of comfort for your family. So it's very, very important. It gives you strength, it gives us hope, it gives us that drive to keep on going in the middle of even hard times. And so what I want to tell my nephews and my family also as well is that when people come against you, against your faith, and try to separate your culture from your faith, the first thing we need to say is no. My faith is part of my culture, and my culture is part of my faith. So when you're insulting my faith, in this case Christianity, when you're telling me that Christianity somehow is bad and make me feel ashamed or make me feel apologizing for my Christianity, now you say, first of all, my faith is part of my culture. So if you're insulting my Christianity, you are also in fact insulting my Mexican heritage. Because that heritage is what gives me strength to keep on moving forward in my faith in God. So that's one thing that I think is very important for people to understand. Do not let people separate your faith from your culture. And if they try to do that, speak up, and you just push back. You know why? Because when people speak words into you, if you don't say anything, those words can get into your spirit. Just like those words that I was reading in that book, telling me all these things. Even though I didn't believe it, just hearing it was doing something to my mind. So speak up when someone goes against your faith. And number two, the main thing, this is how my faith from my culture gave me the strength to be able to combat everything that was coming against me. When I heard you are oppressed, everything's against you, the thing that I had to keep telling myself was, no, I am more than a conqueror through Jesus Christ who loved me. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. And I had to repeat that over and over in my mind. Every time those thoughts would come against me, I'd say, no, my faith is part of my culture, and my culture and my faith tell me that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that's in the Catholic Bible, that's in the Christian Bible, the Protestant Bible. So those are things that I was able to use, tools to come against that theory that was trying to get me down. And when I read also that, again, I'm sorry for the white people that are here, but all these white people that are coming against you, they're all hating you, they're going to bring you down, they secretly want to get you down. I said, wait a minute. Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world, that he that is around me. And we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and spiritual wickedness in high places. So it's not about the skin color. It's about spiritual wickedness in high places that are trying to get me down. And finally, when I felt like giving up and giving in, and I said, no, this is all trying to get me down, I just stood on God's word and proclaimed the promises of God every day. And that's what got me through my master's degree. So if anybody comes and tells me that my faith is oppressive to anybody else, I say, I'm sorry, that is wrong. People are oppressive. The faith is not oppressive. Anybody can be oppressive in any situation, no matter your skin color. But the Word of God is not oppressive. The Word of God gives you life, gives you encouragement. Amen. And go ahead and clap if you want to clap. And lastly, this whole thing about, everything's against you, so that you have to tear everything down. Oh, just tear it all down. I'll just tear it all down. And I said, no, maybe that world mindset, that theory is telling you to tear things down, tear people down, which basically was Italian people do. Tear the police down, tear all the white people down, tear anybody down that's against you, tear Christians down. By the way, above 70-80% of minorities are in fact Christian in this country. So when you're telling people to tear Christianity, now you're really disrespecting the culture, the religion that is in the center of the culture of not just Hispanics, but many ethnicities. So what I said was, no, I'm not going to tear things down. Or tear people down. I'm going to build something. I'm going to build up people, not tear people down. So I hope this today that I'm able to encourage all of you here today, like little Benjamin Harris. I saw a video of Benjamin online, and he was, during the pandemic, what did he do? He made a video encouraging people and telling people to hold on. And what did he say? He didn't say, oh, just hold on because, that's all. What did you say, Ben? What did you use? What was the words, what book did you use that helped you to build people up?
I forgot which one, but I know that it had the shield of faith.
The shield of faith? Well, come over and tell me.
Oh my goodness.
Give Ben a hand over here. So this is an example here of that we should never be ashamed of our faith, because our faith is part of our culture, and our culture gives us strength. And there's a book at the center of our culture which is called the Bible. So I want Ben to share what he used. Instead of tearing people down and being angry at people, he's actually building people up using our faith as part of our culture. So go ahead, Ben. What did you tell everybody?
I told everybody that God is our shield. And one thing that I said was that I told my dad, why do people wear masks? And he told me he didn't really know. And I said that, are people afraid that God isn't protecting us? So that's what led me to doing the video. And I just think that when I talked about the shield of faith, that's like our mask. We don't need to put something else in front of us, but we need to put Jesus is gonna be in front of us already.
Amen.
Oh, that's amazing. So you're saying that instead of a mask, that the more people can wear masks if they want to, that's fine, that's a choice. But the most important thing is we don't need a mask. We have something that's greater, which is what?
The shield of faith.
Give Ben a hand. Awesome. Wow. So Ben and Lauren and Seth and anyone else, when anybody tries to ever make you feel ashamed of your faith, make you feel like, oh, you have to make excuses about being a Christian, you tell them, no, my faith is part of my culture, and my culture gives me strength.
Amen.
And those are the words that he used, and I'm sure you encourage a lot of people, and those are the words that we all can use when people come against our faith and try to make us feel like we have to make an excuse or apologize for our faith. We say, no, that's part of my culture too. If you're going to celebrate diversity, you need to celebrate my culture too and have some respect for my culture and my faith. Amen?
Amen.
All right, so that's what I want to share with you today. So be encouraged. We need to speak up. You know, like I said, I'm sure people mean well when they share these things, but they don't realize that sometimes, just like when in the olden days when people would get a sickness, and they really thought they were helping people by bloodletting them. They would poke them and let the blood come out, because they think, well, the disease will come out with the blood. But what happened when they let all the blood out? They died. So they really had a good intention in their mind to think, well, we're really helping people. We're letting all the blood out and the disease will go away, but they ended up dying. So I really think at this point that this critical race theory is, people sincerely think they're helping people, but they're actually killing people slowly. So it's our job to speak up and say, no, that isn't actually helpful for me. I'll tell you what's helpful for me, to be encouraging people, to be building people up, and using my faith to do that. So thank you so much for being here today, and I hope everybody's encouraged to speak up and speak the truth. And so as you can see, I finally made it here. After that, I finished my thesis, and I, thank God that I was able to get a perfect score on my defense.